This podcast contains strong language and adult themes.
Date Night China explores life and love for better relationships in China. Every week, we hear from different guests and dive into dating, relationships, mental health, and how both expats and Chinese people connect with each other here in China.
Join the Date Night community through our podcast and events in Beijing and Shanghai, and catch up on all the latest stories on our official WeChat account.
Find our account on WeChat by searching Date Night China, no spaces, no capital letters. You can also join our WeChat group by adding Rachel, me, on WeChat. You can search Rachel Weiss 22, RACHEL WEISS 22.
And now for this week's episode. So, welcome back to another episode. We're nearly at the end of season 3, and what an eventful season it's been. It's been our longest running season so far, with 31 episodes in. Well, that's not actually true, because
this will be 32,
and then we've got one more.
And we've got one more. So far 31. Yeah, but
that's misleading. So straight away there's excitement there for the listener, because they thought, 31, and then we're like, no, it's not, you dummies.
Think again.
There's
2 more. I'm excited. This episode, it's just Nathan and I, and we're going to be taking a look back at a few of our favorite episodes from the season, but mostly it's going to be sharing some behind the scenes, some of our favorite memories and moments. There's a lot of things that happen with the planning, off recording for these podcast episodes, and a lot that happen after we record, and I think we just want to share more about those things, what we've really enjoyed from this season of the podcast.
Yeah, so this is our recap episode, but we'll have another episode coming your way after this one. We'll be taking questions from our audience, from you, the listener, and you can ask us anything about the podcast, Date Night China, our relationship, or life in China in general. So we'll let you know how you can send them to Date Night China socials or our WeChat directly.
Yeah, basically just send us a DM, or if you have a question you want to send directly to us, if you're friends with us on WeChat, you can do that.
I wonder if other podcast hosts are like this, like intimately connected, but like there's a direct line to us, you know what I mean? It's not just like sending an email to like query at Date Night China. Like, no, people
we're
have got
accessible
actual,
to the people.
We've got people can just like message us and like, yo,
talk to us.
So, how are we going to do this? We're going to do this, you're going to give us a favorite, and I'll give a favorite, and we'll play a clip from each episode, which should entice you to go back and listen.
Yes. So I will start first, or do you want to start first?
No, you can start.
Okay. So one of my first favorite ones is the episode 2, Chinese women and the stigma of being single. Do you want to play the clip first?
Yeah, let's play the clip.
So I know Sheng Yu was like a really popular phrase for leftover women. And it was talking about, women who are like maybe older than 27, 28, who are, educated but unmarried, and this pressure that they are the leftover women. Do you think that phrase is still being used now, or has it changed?
The reason why the term exists is kind of like slowly faded away, because it doesn't really start a harsh conversation anymore. That's why articles, medias are slowly giving up on this term, because this simply doesn't get any single lady mad, because they would love to become a shenu if they're well educated. So what it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that actually some women are using it as a more of a positive, empowering thing. Like, I'm a single lady who can take care of myself, almost like I don't need a man,
Yes,
Interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think I really liked this episode just because the origin of it, we were talking about wanting more diverse stories, diverse people for this episode. We've done a lot around expats, and this was one we really tried to focus on Chinese voices, especially from the female perspective. And it came about because we were at a friend's birthday at Great Leap in San Latun, and I just was thinking about this episode, and I was just reading a lot about it, but I was like, I want to come talk to some girls here and actually ask them their perspective. There were a lot of, well-educated Chinese women at this party at Great Leap. And so I just started going around at this party and asking some of them, you know, in a very like natural conversation, but they got so
Invested
excited.
and so excited about it.
I think they
had
were
a lot
like
to say.
so excited that somebody was asking them a question about it, especially from the foreign perspective. Like they wanted to hear what was going on. And so it ended up being the 3 girls who came and joined us for the episode. And it was really cool to hear them get so excited.
Really into it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that was great for us because we've done like ensemble episodes before where we've invited quite a few people to the podcast, and that can be hit and miss, you know, like, and we know which ones we were very excited about and then turned out to be not so great, and some that turned out just to be phenomenal.
It's a difficult thing to
one,
bring 3 people together as well,
Yeah.
plus us, and have it be well balanced and not
Yeah.
overpowering or somebody gets lost, or keeping it a really good,
And it was-
interesting episode.
And it was a good start to season 3 because we wanted to shape it again, and that's been another. I think I'm going to come back to this point nearly on every point that I've got, is that every season we've tried to do something different. I mean, season 1 is completely different to where we are now. However, there's a few episodes that we'll talk about that are,
OG.
that are very similar to that, or it's got that same energy and feel. So that's been really nice to like reconnect to us, like as roots.
Yeah, our raw
But
drunken
it has
roots.
evolved, and we wanted it to change, and we wanted to
it naturally
this
would,
season
right?
to be a little bit more in depth, yet bring some of that fun and energy from season 1 back in, and I think we've done that.
Yeah. I think I also liked after this episode, those girls hung out a lot. It was so fun. They actually formed a friendship from coming on the podcast together. And I would
Yeah.
see photos of them hanging out, and they were just like, oh, it was so nice for us to bond and meet each other. Some like-minded people with similar backgrounds going through similar experiences to talk with each other about it. So it was just cool how they connected through the podcast and
Yeah.
became friends.
And we've only started doing that towards the end of this season. We released it for the one we've got, the comedians of Beijing, Donny Fan and Kay Gambit. And we released like a bonus episode after we stopped recording.
Oh, so you're talking about bonus episodes now.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that, like, every episode, generally people stay and we'll chat more and we'll get a little bit in depth and we're a little bit more relaxed. And
We had more drinks with the girls too. Like they stayed for hours after the
because then
episode.
by that time people are used to like the microphone in the face as well, you know.
Yeah.
But it's only till recently that we've said, let's just press record again and just do a little snippet.
We should have done
bonus.
that from the beginning.
Yeah. But now we can bring that into
That's when
season
a
4.
lot of the really
I think.
like juicier, in-depth things actually come out is after we stop recording.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like it's like, oh, now we've stopped recording. I'll tell you this.
It's just
I'm
a
pretty
natural
sure people.
conversation. I think
Yeah.
the longer you spend time with people, the more you open up and feel comfortable. You get into deeper ways. Like, yeah. So that was mine. First one. What's yours?
Yeah. Okay, right. Oh, that was. But yeah, so that was episode 2. So go back and listen. We're gonna tell you to go back and listen to all of these, but that was episode 2. So mine. This was one of my favorites. And also, these are in only numerical order for me. I have not.
It's fine.
Yeah, these are just my top 3, and I love them equally. But
I think that should go without saying. We're not trying to play favorites with any of our guests. We're so thankful for everybody who came on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're just kind of diving into some special moments.
Okay, this one, episode 6, catfishing and online dating scams.
Ooh.
So let's have a listen to this clip. Okay, so this one is like way more intense. This is like borderline. Well, this is fraud, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
It sounds like the Tinder swindler.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think it very much is that emotional connection thing first, to try to create a bond with somebody and lure them into that sense of comfort and vulnerability and opening up, and then trying to ask for the money.
You know, it'd be great to actually see if we could message her and see a photo of the person that was catfishing her, or the profile,
I don't know if she even got one.
Oh my word! But 6 months as well.
I know.
And those what did you say? Two times a day, an hour-long chats,
Yes.
being so concerned about
Right.
personal health and everything.
And planning a future, talking about work and life, and
It's nuts. And
Yeah.
then eventually the money thing after like all that groundwork. the reason why I picked this one is because this season we wanted to do more interviews and have more of a connection to our listener base and just bring our community alive a little bit. So we've released more video this year, and people have really opened up and just been really honest and very candid on camera. And then we've taken that audio and then that's helped shape a lot of like podcast episodes.
That was a big goal for this season. Let's get several people into one episode. I think a lot of times we've done a lot of one-on-one.
Well, I would urge people to go back and listen to that episode, but it's just stuff that you can't, like we can't bring it to life. People write in stories and we're just retelling them. But when you've got that personality and that lived experience of, I was on this date and this person showed up and they didn't look like this, or they showed up at my apartment and they wanted to cook pasta, or they wanted to come back and just drink Jack from the bottle and sort of like not pay for anything or whatever. Some stupid stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really just gratifying to just have them come from
the people themselves.
The people that have lived it, you know?
I really enjoyed that as well. Like making that a focus to put lots of different diverse voices that we can't tell their stories the same way that they can. So I thought that was really cool.
And also like for a place that is a little bit misunderstood, I feel at times, these episodes where we've had real, people come on, it's been a great snapshot and a timestamp of this is life in China now. It's unfiltered and it's brutally honest. And I think for a lot of the criticism that China gets, for representations of what life is like, I think these are just wonderful examples of this is what it is actually like, with this under the umbrella of dating and relationships. Mm-hmm. And I just think I'm really proud that we've done that this year, and we've had quite it's been very diverse as well.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I think we've talked about this a lot, saying it really is a timestamp. It is looking back.
I mean, we wanted to do that with season 2, but we just didn't. I don't think we hit it as well as
we
we've
did
done
a shorter season then too. I think we were very limited in the scope of what we could do. So this year, I think we really expanded to talk to even more people from different backgrounds, different countries, different places, to get a more diverse perspective of China in 2022 from the dating and relationship viewpoint.
Okay, so you're up next. What's your second pick?
Okay, so my second one is Confessions of a Fuckboy in Beijing.
Great episode.
Wow, okay, take a listen. Okay, and you are a self-professed fuckboy.
Yes.
So can you tell us, a little bit about that? Because some people also may not know what a fuckboy is. We think most people probably do by now, but
most people have probably met a fuckboy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why don't we get into that, and what does that kind of mean, and why do you say that?
So I never ever thought of myself as a fuckboy. But a lot of my friends back home would always be like, "You're such a fuckboy, Martin. You're such a fuckboy." And then I came here, and my first roommate here was like, "Wow, I've never met someone who's as much of a fuckboy as you." And to me, like, I think I fit it because, like, I have such a fear of, like, commitment in relationships that, like, I never get there. And I'll do everything in the lead up to being in a relationship and, like, showing somebody that I'm ready to commit. But then when it comes time to commit, I'm like, oh, whoops, I've got laundry to do. I'll see you later. Like, I got socks to match. Sorry. And I think I fit in it there. I think I've gotten a lot better since being in China, actually. And I put it down to my roommate. Like, she loves to talk about, like, feelings and stuff. And I hate it, like, because I'm, like, a big footboy. Like, I don't talk about what I feel. But she'd, like, sit me down and be like, how do you feel about this boy? Blah, 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 blah. And I think I'm getting better. I think I still have fuckboy tendencies, but...
Okay, so this was a highly engaging episode. And a little bit controversial after we shared it, actually. I mean, when you hear the title, it is a little clickbaity, to be honest, but we've talked through it with Martin. We approved it through him. He was so comfortable calling himself the fuckboy first. That's what sparked it, saying, let's call this episode that. Because he just owned it, and he was so comfortable saying, this is what I call myself. And once people started clicking on it and talking about it in our groups, it just like
big
went up in
engagement, didn't it?
flames.
Yeah.
People loved to get and dissect Martin's dating life. Like they were so in it, like, ooh, what do you think about him doing this to other people? Is this fair? Is this right? Oh, but he's self-reflecting. What does this mean? They were analyzing it so much and really debating it in these WeChat groups. And I think that was a really interesting way to look at it. Because sometimes, you know, people will read our stuff or look at it, but it doesn't spark that same level of, oh my gosh, I'm so invested.
Of discussion.
I'm going to dive
Yeah.
in. Of course, when somebody's like further along a certain spectrum, though, like Martin is very self-professed fuckboy. That is a very...
And self-aware, you know, and
Yeah.
also if you listen to the episode, despite the shallow sort of like the first glance, you think, oh, this is going to be a shallow episode.
Yes.
Actually, it was quite in depth,
And that's what we
he
hope
picked apart.
we told people in the
Yeah.
group chat that, because some people were like, oh, fuckboy, but they didn't actually listen to it. And that's what we encourage people, listen to it, because he actually talks about his journey and about how he's reflected and tried to change and how he's
And
like...
why he's been a
thinking
certain
about
way
it.
in
Yeah.
relationships or with dating.
Yeah, and he's still saying, though, I'm not a perfect person. There's things I'm working on as a person. And actually, Martin came back, you know, for another episode later, the Singles Day episode.
Yeah.
And we sat down and started talking to him about these things before we recorded. And I liked it. Martin was just like, oh, that's so interesting. He was just like, that's great. Like, let people talk about it. But he's not affected by what other people say about him either. He was like, oh, you know.
Water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
But it was just... What was great about it as well, it just, again, this was an episode that just captured some of that really fun energy from season 1 when it was just me, you, and Eleanor. And, you know, it really just, you know, having Martin round, it was like having he is a friend, but it was just 3 friends just chatting
So
and really
fun.
getting into it and just having a really good time. You know, I think the time flew that night.
Oh, 100%.
Doing that.
Yeah.
And it was just... Yeah, it was just a raucous episode. I loved it.
It was really fun. And also, he was just so honest. I think some people come on a podcast and they have great stories. You know, like I said, we really appreciated all our guests sharing their stories and perspectives. But for somebody to like bear some shameful things, or maybe not shameful, but he was talking about things from his past that he regrets or how he's handled things and people. And I think that takes so much courage to share openly, where like a lot of people might say, oh, I'm going to brush it over and share things that make me look good. I want to be the good guy in the story, so I'm going to share it from my viewpoint. We all do that. We're human. But I liked that Martin was not unafraid to say, you know what? I was the bad guy in the situation, or I did this. I'm not saying it's good, but this is what I did. Like, he really owned up to things, and that was really brave.
Yeah. Okay, you ready for my second pick? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is from episode 15, Tinder Fails and Fat Phobia in China. And we had Sam from Tops to Bottoms. And that's a podcast that is just fantastic. I would recommend that you listen to it. But first, let's listen to the clip before we get into the episode.
Some of the things that people have said to me on Tinder, I would never say to anyone ever. I had one man match with me on Tinder who told me explicitly his biggest dream in life was to come in every girl he meets.
Fuck.
No.
I swear to you.
No.
And I was like, okay, I don't think we quite match on that one there, big guy.
Yeah.
And then the next morning he'd unmatched Kel Surprise.
Yeah.
The audacity.
Yeah. Honestly, the fucking
That's-
audacity
Audacity
of some
of
of these
men.
people.
That's a weird That's a weird interpretation of a bucket list. It was a very funny episode, but she also talked about her experience with fat phobia and being fetishized. About one, you know, being fat, and then also being a foreigner, and like those were like 2 tick boxes that she's experienced. People just outright saying, "Oh, I've always wanted to fuck a foreigner," and this idea of like, you know. You're seen as good enough to fuck, but not to date, and you know her experiences with that, and you know, and dealing with that like instability or like dealing with shitty people.
Yeah. I liked, you know, we've always talked about with Date Night China how dating is a scale of emotions. It's a spectrum. It's the light, it's the heavy, it's like the good, the bad, the ups and the downs. And I think with her episode, what made it so fun was it was very funny, but it also got real deep and real, like just real. And I think she does such a great job with that. Like talking to her is so much fun. and you feel like you're having just like a real honest conversation with somebody.
Yeah, we did want to get Sam back on this season, but it's just with the certain
Yeah. It's been an interesting
issues
year.
in China. It's just been difficult to schedule. So hopefully we'll see Sam back for season 4.
Yeah. In the meantime, definitely check out their podcast, like Nathan mentioned, From Tops to Bottoms. Really good.
Okay, so so this is your third
Okay,
one.
so my third one was episode 25. Why is dating in China so hard? With Rachel George, a therapist here in Beijing.
Swiping outside of your norm. I ran, this is probably not good for me to say, but I won't disclose the name of my friends, but I ran 4 of my friends' Tinder accounts for like 4 months. And I would get to them to the point, I saw it. Yeah. Man, I am killer. Man. I am so good. So I would get them to the point where it was like time for them to like, get off the app and be on WeChat. And then I would give them a rundown, of course, of what we talked about, what the vibe was, what I thought. And then there you go. And I will say I've been very successful. And let me tell you why. It's because I was swiping outside of their norm. It was people that they would have never swiped on. And I was just like, you know what? Like, he looks kind of funny, or she looks kind of, kind of cheeky. Yep, we're doing this.
So I really enjoy this episode. First of all, because Rachel George is a fantastic person who's really actively involved with the Beijing community. We've worked with her on events before. If you've listened to that episode, you know all of that background with her. I just think she's a phenomenal person who speaks very well about things and is so thoughtful and actually gets the community in China. And I thought it was so good pairing her with this question, because we get this question all the time in all of our interviews and all of our things, on recordings, off recordings. People are just talking about how terrible it can be dating here, how difficult it is, especially since COVID started. Everybody's struggling with these things. Everybody can relate to the hardship that kind of comes along with it and the challenges of trying to be single, navigating this COVID world, right? And I think she just handled it so well. And it's not solving the problem. It's not saying, okay, listen to this and it'll be all better. But I think she did such a great job outlining points for you to self-reflect and think about for yourself. And it doesn't mean it's going to get easier all at once or anything like that, but it's just having you look at your own expectations, priorities, your own energy and boundaries, like good things that I think anybody can look at and think about. But what was funny about this episode is that there was also like pushback from somebody in a group about it, which made me laugh a little, because they were like, I don't know about this thing about expectations and boundaries. Like,
and
this is a very Western way to look at dating. But a lot of people in the group chat and other group chats, like, it doesn't matter what nationality, we had Chinese folks, other people like all around saying, no, this is really thoughtful and good. And any person from any culture or country is going to be thinking about their personal boundaries, their personal expectations. It was just funny that they were like, nope. And that person wasn't even like Chinese. They were Western. So I don't know. It was just funny to hear that engagement.
Yeah, well, that's the joy and the headache of having so many group chats and having like a platform for people to talk things. Yes, we want that engagement, and it was fine, but sometimes opinions can be heated, and discussions can get, out of hand a little bit. And I didn't think this one got too out of hand.
No.
Actually.
It was just really
It was
interesting.
pretty mild.
I think what
He
I've
was
learned,
very adamant. He was very
yes, he was
set
very
on
pressed
his,
into it, which is, okay. Like
is
you
fine.
said, people can have their opinions and their thoughts to express them. I think what we've learned also from having these WeChat groups where people can open up and share things is people with dating even hold these values and their worldview so close to themselves that they will get, quite inflamed when talking about beliefs, cultural backgrounds, how you date, how you treat somebody, and humor. Like that has been
And what's
so
offensive,
interesting. Yeah, people have very different levels, and it kind of shows you, oh, this is why it is hard just humans to connect on a certain level with not even dating involved. You're bringing everything, 2 different people with all of these different things together. So yeah, it's just been interesting to see that. But I think she did that. She answered it very well and in a very thoughtful way.
And that also was, we had Rachel on for 2 episodes because we had such good content when we were recording it. We thought we need to split this up into 2. So again, I would go back and listen to those episodes. Hopefully we can have Rachel George on again for season 4. Okay, this is my last one. Are you ready? Okay, so episode 21, male friendships, loneliness, and vulnerability. So let's listen to the clip.
Well, there was one point where I used to date this girl at college, not university, but high school. She used to say that to me a lot. She was like, man up, man up. It was so annoying because I was like, what do you mean? Because I was just being myself and I wanted to kind of tell her things. Even the day I broke up with her, I was trying to find the nicest way possible to tell her without hurting her. And she was like, oh, man up and do it. And then that kind of upset me. And then I just said it, right? But I was trying to be like nice as possible to tell her that this is not working for me, right? And because I don't know what she wanted. And to be honest with you, I think the boys don't cry thing with me, I think I haven't had anyone, to answer your question, Hayden, instruct me directly, like, don't cry. But it's just been sort of implied. I went to boarding school and crying, you could cry alone, but around the boys, you kind of needed to be masculine because it's a savage environment in there. It's almost like prison, to be honest with you, because it was an all boys school and it's lethal. So it kind of, you see that very concept in there. Like you need to be basically the lion in the jungle, because if you show any weakness, they'll just walk all over you.
Okay, so for that episode, we had Valentine and Hayden on, two good friends of Date Night China and to us personally. And it was really great. I feel like we really got it right this time. Because how many male episodes, like all male episodes, or like focusing on like the male experience have we had? It was just...
I think you did one in season 1 and one in season 2.
Yeah, and they have the merits if you go back and find those. I don't know what they are. What episode number they are. But this season, I'm really proud of the things that we talked about, because, we talked about the idea of manning up, bullying, toughness, and what it means to show aggression, or even just like process aggression as a man. And then also, how do you process your mental health, and what does that mean for dating? Like Valentine told this story about how he was trying to break up with somebody and he was trying to be sensitive and thoughtful about it because he really cared about the breakup, and this girl was like, just man up, or just have the balls to tell me this and stuff like that, and that really stayed with him. And it's like, I get it, like it's hard when it's a little bit undefined about what it means to be a man. And Valentine's got this wonderful podcast, Men Are Human Too.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel though? Like, I think also this year, because of, with that episode, we also mentioned the men events and men groups and things in Beijing. Like, how do you feel, Nathan, as a guy being involved in these things? Doing this episode, has it made you reflect or think about things?
I think it's great that we're seeing more in Beijing. There's more space for men to reflect. I've been on a bit of a journey this year, trying to explore different support groups and reflect on my mental health, but also what it means to be part of a community, and realizing what I can give and what I can't give when it comes to like group support and how I need to take care of myself, But I think what Valentine's doing is really fantastic. And I think it's you look at how it's grown and just like kudos to him for doing this on his own terms, and, seeing what was out there and thinking, well, I think I can do this differently. I think I've got something to say, and I think I want to create a space. And he's done just that. And, he's, I think, when I speak to him about it, I think he's very happy with where he is with it. He's a very modest guy as well, very humble.
He is, but he's got such a passion for it. I think he's the perfect person to spearhead something like this, especially in Beijing, because especially as a community leader, I think you have to have like a culmination of many different things, and you got to have the passion and energy for it and the voice, and he also has the ability to, he's got this like quiet leadership energy that it makes you feel comfortable to talk around him, I think. I don't know. I just think he's really wonderful. He has so many great qualities.
And also, and that being said, there are other brands out there, other things are out there for men's mental health. It's not just Valentine's.
Oh yeah. And we have listeners, not just even in Beijing. So this is one example. Like, you might have your own thing in different cities, different whatever.
But I mean, what was great about it was just talking about this issue and from a male perspective. And wherever you sign up to, if it's a male support group or it's something online that you find, peaceful, or catching up with friends, I think it's good for men to have a space where it's not just about, say, like, going out and getting fucked and sort of like, doing the things or thinking in a way that is designed so that men can't open up, which is, we find it easier, just go out and like we might shoot some pool and not really talk about stuff. But, these areas, these arenas and platforms and communities that help guys talk about these things are really important anywhere you are, And it's been nice to explore that or see that flourish in Beijing in various forms, not just Valentine's.
Yeah, it's like even
wholesale,
Helena,
other things.
Helena doing the men's dinners and us partnering her with a bit of that. But like Helena is so passionate
Yeah.
about that and creating that space. Many other groups are doing these kind of things. It's great. People are focusing and talking about this for men more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for our top 6. Now we're just going to recap on some other moments that are special to us.
So formal. Yeah.
This is my DJ voice.
I know
my
you
podcast
put
voice.
it on your podcast voice.
Hi.
It's so
Welcome
funny.
to Day Night China.
Yeah, like we mentioned, those were some of the just fun moments and memories that we really enjoyed from those episodes. But there have been so many. Like, I think we have talked to so many great people.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite moments was recently with the comedians.
Oh my God,
Kay
such a good
and Donnie.
episode.
I think
That was
you
funny as
randomly
hell.
stumbled onto that part about werewolf erotica with him. Like, you just randomly brought that up. It wasn't part of the script or anything. We didn't know. It was like unraveling on air that they did werewolf erotica in China.
Yeah.
And we were just both
Well, how
sitting there
big
like
the market is.
it was funny.
So
Yeah.
and the bonus episode is Donnie reading some of his werewolf
Well,
erotica.
Kay reads it first. Yeah.
Okay, reads it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Donnie wrote it and Kay read it. But yeah, it was just that was just a wild episode.
It was fun because
It was
not
really fun.
not even knowing that was going to come out for the night. I think sometimes we do try to plan out episodes, the way
We
you
have a
tried to.
structure.
We have a structure, and then it's so fun when those golden things pop out.
I think even though like Martin and Sam, those episodes were really fun and vibrant, and like I've said earlier, it just captured that season 1
Yeah.
energy. That episode with the comedians Donnie and Kay, that was the most wild, and
I
just
think it's the most unexpected.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
they've all been really funny. We've also just had some really sweet moments coming from the podcast. Just like the episode with the couple who got married at the British consulate.
Yeah, where we get to go. If you've
Yes.
not listened to that episode, we got invited to a wedding in Beijing.
Yeah, because it just came about from a WeChat group. We saw this couple needed some people to come and be their witnesses. They didn't know other people in Beijing. They were traveling here. We had a friend forward that to us, and we were like, yo, this could be so cool to help them, of course, but also like, what a great story and connection to reach out to them and have them on the podcast afterwards. So it was really nice. And then we ended up staying in touch with them. I think they're moving to Beijing soon.
They actually weren't they going to move?
They might be here
November?
already. Yeah, we
We've
might.
not heard from. Oh, like maybe they've moved and they just don't want to get in touch. They're like, yeah, we just need to lay low for a little while. Actually, no, it should have been delayed, I guess, because of the recent COVID.
We're in a
restrictions.
soft lockdown again in Beijing. So
Yeah, don't call it a lockdown. Don't call it a lockdown.
Yeah, so who knows? Yeah, but that was really sweet. I think that's a really special thing from the podcast is the special relationships. We get to meet and connect with people that we usually you wouldn't find in your circle here. So that's been really nice. Have there been any other things for you?
I think for me, again, we branched out and we did video this year. And so how we do that is we've not got a big studio space. I think our operation seems a little bit bigger than it is. It's just me and you. But the videos, I move everything from the kitchen. I set up a green screen and lights, and we just invite people round. And, there's not enough room for everybody to fit in. They have to sit in the living room, or they just need to stand around and wait for somebody to finish them. Okay, next person, we're gonna ask you a lot of
It was
questions.
more fun when everybody stands around and waits because we're all looking at this one person.
Yeah, and but by then, and while people are waiting, they're getting steadily drunk. So by the time that they're ready to be on camera, so sometimes people have been a little bit drunk.
Yes,
and that's been
coherent though.
Coherent
and saying things they want to say.
Exactly. But that's been really fun this year, just to connect more with the community and actually involve people in what we do. And that's been really nice as well. I think it's strengthened our relationships with people, and it's just made the whole process more worthwhile, I think,
Yeah, I think also in 2021 we did a lot of events here in Beijing, and that was a really great way to connect with people
Yeah, and
offline.
that's how we did it then, yeah.
Yeah. But this year I think we shifted and we did more with the podcast and with videos, and that was our kind of connection face to face with a lot of people to have them come in, share stories, do that kind of thing. So it just was a little bit of a shift from previous ways that we've done Date Night China in the past, but still keeping that kind of fun, raw, like connection with the audience and with our friends even.
So, wrapping up the episode, Rachel, have you got any exciting and interesting facts and stats that you want to share?
I mean, so everybody knows about the Spotify Wrapped. That's always fun. As a podcast creator, you'll get your own Wrapped for your episodes and your end of year kind of wrap up. And it was just fun to hear that we've created 1,402 minutes of new content this year.
That's incredible.
How many hours is that? 1,402.
Work it out and
right into us.
Right into us.
I mean, it's like
That's
23 hours,
I was
right?
going to say it's at least 7.
It's like a good call, which is pretty cool. And it was telling us that your podcast was in the top 10% most shared globally. Believe that or not, listeners, we were in shock as well.
I don't know how this works. Obviously, Spotify.
I think that there's a lot of people making podcasts nowadays. Everybody's got a podcast. So I think, there's a pretty large distribution of people out there making them. So I don't think...
But I still think that, and that makes it more incredible that we're in the top
I guess so.
percentile.
I guess so. I think a lot of people have personal podcasts that maybe don't... I mean, you think of... I don't know. We could get on a tangent about podcasts in general. I'm a big podcast listener now.
I'm taking this for the win. You know what I mean? I'm not
Me too.
I don't want to scrutinize the data too much. I just want to accept this, These are good things.
Okay, so our listener's podcast personality is, see if this fits with you, listener. Your fans are audio time travelers. They seek out podcasts that are new to them, regardless of whether they're new to the rest of the world. So there you go. You might be a time traveler.
Yeah, which is great because that shows that people are interested in...
Which is great.
No, it is because it's, people are interested in... I think that reflects that people are interested in life in China and what it is like to date and build relationships. And it's not so much like... It doesn't matter that it might have been published last year or there might be a few months behind. That's been nice.
Yeah, I think it also just speaks more to like maybe people who don't listen to podcasts as much, but if they see something they're interested in, they might click and listen to it, even if they're not an avid podcast listener. And also the podcast was heard in 42 countries. Our top 5 were, can you guess?
Let's see. Germany.
Yeah,
that's
just Dave.
That's just Dave. That's like my best friend Dave.
Shout out Dave.
No, that's amazing actually. God, I mean, I'm seeing him this
He's
Christmas.
pulling Germany in.
Yeah, I need to get him a special Christmas present this year because like
get him a Date Night China shirt.
He's actually been very consistent.
Top fan.
Every
Yeah.
time I speak to him, he's like, "Oh, I'm a few episodes behind," and he saves my episodes, our episodes.
Aww.
For when he's doing housework or he's working on like plastering or something.
What a true friend.
I know, right?
Because honestly, like people, it must be different for people outside China when you're like, okay, China, but that's a true friend listening to this.
Yeah, because I don't know, if people don't know us, then we're just podcast hosts and people like us and they just subscribe to the content and us, like, I've got favorite podcast hosts that I listen to. But for a friend to listen, it seems like a bigger deal.
It does. It really does. Okay, so we've got Germany in there. The United States is number 1. UK, Hong Kong, and Australia.
Wow. And the United States is probably number 1 because of the VPN.
Well, yeah. I think any of these, honestly, Hong Kong especially, like, mostly you need to use a VPN to listen to us if you're in China. But that's why we also have Bilibili. If you don't know about that, we're on Bilibili and you don't need a VPN to listen. But if you do listen to the VPN, this is what it's tracking from. So we got Chinese listeners, but it will never say from China. But yeah, I think that's really cool to look back on the stats and kind of look at how far we've come in 2022. Like we mentioned at the beginning, this is our longest season and we've had such a big range of guests. Everybody from entrepreneurs, therapists. We had the PhD holder, Dr. Yun Zeding. Mm-hmm. We've also just done, teachers, media professionals, just a wide range of people from all different backgrounds and countries. and it's been nice to have that diversity over 30.
Yeah, we really wanted
episodes.
to go because this year was a big loss to us because we lost Michelle. She didn't die. She
Yeah,
just
that
left.
sounds so tragic.
She just left
She's
China.
alive.
Yeah, she's alive. But we lost Michelle, and Michelle was such a big energy and driving force for all of our events. And then coupled with that, 22 was such a hard year for doing live events because of the mini
we had a soft
lockdowns and-
lockdown in May,
Yeah.
carried through June, kind of the summer. It was weird.
Yeah.
And then we finally got to have one in August, I think, and then one again in maybe September,
Oh, we had the
October.
cocktail party at the
And
roof.
we had
Mooney.
Yeah,
you
and then
know.
we had the Beer Olympics, but then we're in a soft lockdown again. It's just been very weird for offline events in China
it's
and
been-
very
yeah.
hard to plan things, unexpected closures, like a little bit of anxiety around all of that. Everybody's feeling
Yeah.
it in China.
But because of that, we knew that we wanted to go all in with the media, and I think the way that season 3 shaped out. I'm really proud of season 3.
Me
I really am.
too. And like we talked about with the episode about the catfishing tales or even the expats dating in 2022.
The mental health.
Which-
The episode 3 we did about mental health, and we had Xiaojie from Candle
Yeah,
X.
but all of these episodes we kind of made the focus of let's try to input more
Well,
voices.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that
that's
one,
what I was saying too.
Yeah, I
Then
know.
you-
I just wanted to like add to that, and because it was mental health, people like still saying, okay, I know this is going to be broadcasted, but I want to be open and honest, and I want to talk about my mental health, and I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah. And I think like what I'm trying to get at is like more about the format of it as well, is that we wanted to feature so many people in one episode, because I think we were realizing, even with just us two on the podcast a lot, we were so limited in our own experiences. They're not going to speak to everybody in China. Obviously, we're still working towards that. There's still way more that we could talk about and do, but by trying to speak to way more people, more diverse stories and people, and hearing different takes, different stories, even in one episode, that was kind of a focus in the beginning. I think as the season went on, though, we kind of transitioned away from that again, because those episodes take so much time.
So much time to do.
It's a lot of
very hard to keep
producing,
up,
collating, and especially for you as the editor, like it's a lot of work, and trying to keep up a weekly content schedule is difficult with that. So we definitely transitioned into more of the one-on-one episodes.
And I just want to say, actually, just as a side note, completely separate, if for the past 10 minutes you've heard some just like commotion in the background, I'm gonna hopefully when I listen to this back and I tweak the audio, you won't hear it. But the two cats that we have just been running amok for 10 minutes, like just doing parkour around the fucking living room, and I'm ready to shut them out.
They're like, hey, are you trying to do something right now? Look at me.
Hopefully they won't be able to. Nobody able to hear that, but I can just behind me. I'm just hearing this fucking commotion. I know what they're doing. They're just fucking around. Little shits.
They know.
I
when
love
we're
them
trying
though.
to be
I love
serious.
them. I love them.
Yeah, I think another thing was because of the lockdowns, we did a lot more Zoom interviews this year, which was, well, actually, I think it was a mix. In the middle, we did more Zoom interviews, which are fine. It's what you have to do. A lot of podcasts do that. But I think it's so nice when we actually get to have people come over and be here with us, whether we're drinking or not. There's just that in-person feeling energy that's really fun. And that's like, even like Morag and Valdu recently came on. They were the two expats, that couple that left China. We got through 8 bottles of wine that night.
I know, that was.
I mean, she's a close friend of ours as well too. So it was just nice to sit down and just chat after the podcast.
And that's been a really nice thing. Just like the beauty of having your own platform is that you get to invite who you want on, and it's been great to have these wonderful experts like therapists and PhD, doctorates and all these things. All these people, but then to have some close friends that are, doing very interesting things or very open about talking about their relationship, and new couples that have become really good friends, like Kat and Hayden.
Yeah.
And talking about, their, polyamory relationships and how they navigate that, and so many other people. So I really, if you are just listening to this, go back and just scroll through the episodes of season 3, because it's been a really standout season for us, and we're both very proud of it.
Yeah, we are. Is there anything else to wrap up? Anything that surprised you about this season?
No.
Everything was not surprising.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was, we put a lot of thought and planning into like the process of it, and the look and the feel and even the design. Like we started in May, didn't we, with this podcast? Was it May?
Yeah. No. Before then, it was like March.
March, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But leading up to that, we, the marketing, the branding, because it was, it all looks different this year from season 2. So we spent a lot of time working on that, and even the first video, that style, getting that style down. We
Yeah,
spent
you
a
worked
lot of
really
time-
hard on that. Yeah.
We both worked hard on that, and even though these podcasts they may feel unscripted, we do put
That's the point, though. It's a
Yeah.
stylized thing to make it sound, because we want it to be casual.
Yeah, we want it
but
to be
it's
casual.
a lot of planning in
Yeah,
advance.
and and so I'm not surprised because we've cared a lot about it, and we've put a lot of time and
Yeah.
effort, and to do it, weekly for nearly a year has been a lot.
Yeah, it has been. I'm really proud about that. Like,
Yeah.
it is a big thing. I think we've done really well to keep up with it amidst life and all the other things. But like I've told you, I think this year, I've just so enjoyed that it becomes a little one-on-one intimate chat with people. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, is having people that you get to chat with in a really small, intimate way, rather than sometimes like the big party scenes are fun, but when you really get to chat intimately with people is so nice, and it fills me up too. Like, this is why we like doing it. I love getting to meet people and just hang out one-on-one with them. So that's been so nice this year.
So we are very excited for season 4, but we've got one more episode left of season 3. So it feels like a last episode, but it's not.
Nope.
It's the penultimate one, and then we're back next week with some questions from you, the listener, and we'll be answering those.
Yeah.
And then that'll be it for Christmas and 2022.
Yeah. So make sure write us in to our DMs on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or on WeChat, in our WeChat groups. If you know Nathan or I, or if you're in our WeChat groups, we'll do a call out for questions. It could be anything, like we mentioned, about the podcast, or about Date Night China, about our relationship, about China in general. Anything you'd like to know. And we'll let you guys know what our plans are for Christmas and after that.
Wow, that went really... a little bit
I just realized
robotic at the end.
it was a long sentence, I realized.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Speak to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.